Good evening. Members of the Select Board, Finance Committee, Town Manager, Deputy Town Manager, and members of the public who are listening. My name is Anita Arnhem, and I have the privilege of serving as the Chief of the Acton Fire Department for the past 2.5 years. I'm now in my 37th year of service with the Fire Department here in Acton. Joining me this evening is Deputy Chief Christopher Samet, who has served in that role for the past 2 years and brings 27 years of experience with the Acton Fire Department. We appreciate the opportunity to present the Fire Department and related budgets, as well as updates on departmental operations this evening. Working collaboratively with town leadership, our goal is to balance financial responsibility with the operational readiness necessary to deliver reliable, efficient, and timely emergency services that protect life, property, and overall safety of the Acton community. As the town manager said, our budget starts on page 66 of the budget book. The fire department is comprised of 48 full-time equivalent positions as outlined on page 67. We currently operate 4 shifts with 10 members on duty, staffing 3 stations: South Acton, Acton Center, and North Acton. At this staffing level, meeting response time objectives and maintaining adequate on-scene resources requires careful daily deployment and limits our flexibility when managing multiple or simultaneous incidents. We are actively working to hire 4 additional members, which would allow us to increase staffing to the currently authorized level of 11 members per shift and strengthen our ability to assemble effective initial response crews, maintain balanced station coverage, and sustain performance expectations across the community. Since February, the department has participated in a pilot program in partnership with the Collins Foundation, focused on evaluating the most efficient and effective deployment of personnel. This initiative looks at operational data, including call volume, response times, incident concurrency, and geographic coverage, to assess how staffing levels and station assignments influence service delivery. The findings from this pilot will inform future staffing decisions, guide capital and apparatus planning, and support long-term resource allocation to ensure the department continues to meet the town's service expectations and risk profile. A formal report is expected from the Collins Center within the next several weeks. I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to the firefighters of Local 1904 and to the dispatchers of Local 25 for their continued cooperation and professionalism as Deputy Chief Samet and I have explored and implemented various operational models. These changes have involved the movement of personnel and apparatus between stations and adjustment to operational deployment, requiring members to adapt from their established routines. Their dedication has been essential in ensuring this process effectively evaluates and strengthens our operational readiness. As I mentioned last year, fire departments have evolved into an all-hazards response organization. In addition to fire suppression, the Acton Fire Department provides a broad range of essential services, including fire prevention and public education, training, inspections, pre-incident planning, hazardous materials response, emergency medical services, permitting, and code compliance, among other activities. The fire department is also jointly responsible with the police department for overseeing the operation of the E911 dispatch center located at the public safety facility. Historically, the Massachusetts General Law 99A has limited fire departments to hiring candidates residing within 15 miles of the town, a restriction enacted following the blizzard of 1978 that remained in place for decades. I'm pleased to report that through the efforts of town leadership, Representatives Dan Cena and Senator Jamie Eldridge, House Bill 4168, an act authorizing the town of Acton to increase the residency limit for members of the police and fire departments, was signed into law on December 10th of this past year. This legislation allows the town to establish residency requirements collaboratively with the union, significantly expanding our hiring pool and strengthening our ability to attract qualified candidates. Coupled with recent contractual improvements that enhance Acton Fire's competitiveness, these changes position the department to achieve full staffing, improve coverage, sustain response readiness, and manage risk proactively, ensuring that the town can continue to delivering reliable, effective, and timely emergency services to the community. Given the challenges in hiring firefighter paramedics, we are currently supporting both new hires and existing members in training to achieve paramedic certification. This training typically takes 12 to 18 months, depending upon the program. Across the country, many departments have found that in response to ongoing shortages of firefighter paramedics, developing internal candidates is an efficient and effective strategy for sustaining highly qualified workforce. Unlike a typical desk job, any vacancy, whether due to illness, injury, or training, must be filled with overtime to maintain effective emergency operations. Staffing gaps directly affect response readiness and the department's ability to manage risk, and they have contributed to increased overtime costs. Reaching full staffing will help reduce these costs, enhance operational readiness, and ensure the town can continue delivering safe, timely, and reliable emergency services to the community. Full staffing of at least 11 members per shift is more critical now than ever, particularly with the near completion of several large residential developments, including the 5-story, 260-plus River's Edge apartment complex on Powder Mill Road in South Acton, which just started taking occupancy, the 4-story, 40-unit McManus complex on Main Street, and the multi-story buildings of Avalon Apartments in North Acton. In the event of a fire, arriving with a minimum of 3-member engine crews is essential for quickly investigating an alarm, advancing hose lines, and extinguishing a fire. Achieving 11 members per shift will allow us to staff 2 engines with 3 members for the majority of the responses, significantly improving our ability to protect life and property in these larger, more complex structures. As of December 15th, we upgraded the north engine to a paramedic level and placed a paramedic fly car into operation. This change provides several benefits for the department. It gives our paramedics additional valuable experience as firefighters, adds flexibility by allowing deployment of a single paramedic resource when needed, and enables us to support mutual aid partners with advanced life support capabilities. Previously, when ALS mutual aid was requested, we had to send a full ALS staffed ambulance, tying up 2 ambulances for a single patient. With this new configuration, our primary ambulance can remain available in town while still providing ALS support to neighboring communities. A welcome addition to our administrative staff, the fire prevention officer position has significantly strengthened the department's fire prevention code compliance program by assigning a dedicated professional to oversee this critical function. Jeffrey Dalton was hired in July through a cooperative effort with the building department and has quickly demonstrated an exceptional engagement with the community. Because he is not assigned to emergency response, Mr. Dalton is able to provide more flexible and reliable scheduling of inspections and maintain consistent focus on code compliance. He now serves as a stable single point of contact for the public regarding inspections and enforcement matters. As a result, the deputy chief and captains have been freed to focus more fully on their administrative and operational duties. On page 69, you'll find a summary of recent accomplishments, along with changes and ongoing challenges and FY27 goals. I'll begin by highlighting some of our accomplishments. We have successfully secured multiple grants, some of which, unfortunately, are no longer going to be available moving forward. Firefighter and safety equipment grant of $19,000, along with a supplement of $9,500 was received this year, or fiscal year 25. A student awareness of fire education known as SAFE grant of $5,700, a senior SAFE grant of $2,400, and we have most recently received 2 state earmarks for turnout gear of $25,000 and emergency radios of $25,000. Another accomplishment, as I just mentioned, was the filling of the fire prevention officer, marking the first time in over 50 years that this has formally been staffed. I believe Robert Craig was last to hold this position in 1974. In the decades since, fire prevention responsibilities were handled intermittently by firefighters with an interest in the work or by on-duty officers. In recent years, the duties largely fell to the deputy chief with limited support from the captains, resulting in due to their duties, lack of consistency and continuity. Establishing this position has significantly strengthen our fire prevention and code enforcement efforts. Strengthen recruitment of qualified paramedic candidates with significant leadership and effort by Deputy Chief Samet. The passage of House Bill 4168, allowing us to increase our residency limits, was a critical factor in expanding that candidate pool. Deputy Samet has developed and implemented a comprehensive and structured orientation and onboarding program, acknowledging that many of our new hires no longer come to us with prior firefighting experience. Here to explain what is involved in onboarding new personnel is Deputy Samet.
Good evening, members of the Select Board, Finance Committee, Town Manager, and Deputy Town Manager. This evening, I am here to briefly walk you through the orientation process for our new firefighters. The new hire orientation process consists of 2 weeks of daytime training, Monday through Friday, totaling a 42-hour work week. During this period, new members rotate through each station with a focus on station familiarization, apparatus, and equipment. They also participate in fire and EMS training using a competency-based training book to document proficiency and key skills, including, but not limited to, pump operations, self-contained breathing apparatus, search and rescue, driver training, and vehicle extrication. Throughout these 2 weeks, new hires respond to fire and EMS calls with on-duty crews, allowing them to be integrated into the Acton Fire Department operations from the onset. Continued training. Following this initial orientation period, new hires receive a group assignment and continued structured fire EMS training under supervision of leadership of department officers. Within 18 months of hire, any employee who has not previously attended a career recruit fire training program is sent to the Massachusetts Fire Academy 10-week recruit program. Upon completion, members graduate with Firefighter 1-2 certification and a strong foundation and core principles of the fire service. An important message emphasized prior to graduation is that learning in the fire service is continuous and does not end until retirement. In closing, I would like to thank all members of the Acton Fire Department who contribute their time and expertise in the training of our new hires. Their dedication serves a strong foundation for these employees as they develop and progress throughout their careers. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Additional accomplishments include implementation of the pilot program to evaluate effective and efficient deployment of apparatus and personnel. As I mentioned, we placed a paramedic engine and fly car into service, enhancing our operational flexibility and patient care delivery. We invested in leadership development. Deputy Chief Samet successfully completed the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy Chief Fire Officer Program, and I was honored to be accepted into the National Fire Academy's Executive Fire Officer Program, a highly competitive and nationally recognized leadership program. We've continued to deliver exceptional advanced life support services to the community, including multiple successful cardiac arrest resuscitation with patients surviving neurologically intact. We took delivery of a Ford F-150 hybrid pickup truck to replace the shift commander's vehicle, improving reliability, efficiency, and reducing operating costs. We've secured equipment from state excess property, primarily emergency medical supplies, including portable ventilators. Additional functionality with OpenGov. Our fire prevention officer has been able to create additional permits within the OpenGov system and utilize it more efficiently with assistance from Jessica Thomas in the building department. So thank you to Jessica. As far as ongoing challenges, increasing call volumes and complexity, including a growing number of incidents involving emerging hazards such as lithium-ion batteries. We've also had an increase in concurrent calls where 2 ambulances are tied up at the same time. Rising incident costs across all operational areas, including equipment, apparatus maintenance and repair, as well as personnel. Health and safety and wellness concerns for our department members, including increased risk to related occupational cancer, post-traumatic stress disorder, and line of duty injuries. Aging facilities in need of significant upgrades, with stations constructed in the 1950s and early 1960s, including critical needs such as the Station 2 roof repairs that need to be done. Escalating training costs, including compliance with unfunded mandates from the Office of Emergency Medical Services, such as Nero's Law, ASHA requirements, and mandated equipment upgrades such as IV pumps. Rapidly evolving technologies that present new operational challenges, including solar installations, energy storage systems, lithium-ion batteries, electric vehicles, and modern construction materials. And lastly, a National Emergency Response Information System called NERIS has recently been mandated to replace the National Fire Incident Reporting System for state and federal fire incident reporting. This transition will require an adjustment period and may necessitate tracking fire incidents separately from emergency medical responses and inspections, requiring the use of 3 distinct databases rather than the single system currently in use. While this presents an operational challenge, is one we're prepared to meet. Goals identified for FY27 include filling of all current vacancies to maintain an on-duty complement of 11 members per shift, identifying and implementation of efficient operational deployment model informed by data from the pilot program, department member feedback, and guidance from town leadership. Additional goals include continue to provide timely, current training to ensure the department remains prepared for the evolving and increasingly complex challenges of firefighting and emergency medical response. Maintenance of all apparatus and equipment in a state of readiness to ensure reliable response to all requests for service. Expand community engagement. The department has begun collaborating with Youth Connections based on information provided by our Economic Development Director, Patricia Costa, so I appreciate that. And we anticipate engaging 2 interns to assist with emergency management inventory and fire department statistical analysis. And another goal is to conduct tabletop exercises to test and refine Acton's emergency management plans. A multi-jurisdictional tabletop exercise is currently scheduled for March, supported by funding from the Northeast Homeland Security Regional Council, Advisory Council. In coordination with the Sustainability Office, the department is also planning a tabletop exercise under the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, focused on Acton's response and resilience to a climate-related event. This exercise is anticipated to take place in the spring and will provide an opportunity to specifically evaluate and strengthen Acton's preparedness for such incidents. On page 70, you'll see emergency management services. Emergency management services is responsible for ensuring the town is prepared to respond effectively to a wide range of emergencies, both planned and unplanned. These include hurricanes, winter storms, extreme temperatures, major crowd events, as we might have for the 250th, who knows, and significant traffic accidents, aircraft crashes, tornadoes, earthquakes, fires, hazardous materials, active shooter situations, and other critical events. As far as changes and ongoing challenges with emergency management, there's a need for storage facility for support, efficient inventory management, and rapid deployment of resources. We are currently taking up all the space in Station 4's closet. Identification and preparation of appropriate community shelter locations. I've recently engaged with some talks with the school, and there's some other locations that we're looking at as well. Ongoing recruitment, identification, and training of staff and volunteers for emergency response support, and organizing and providing training for volunteers. As far as recent accomplishments with emergency management, we have secured $5,100 in emergency management preparedness grant funds to enhance our emergency management supplies. As I told you, we obtained the Northeast Homeland Security Regional Council grant or funding to host the multi-jurisdictional tabletop. We continue to expand Acton's emergency management cache of equipment and supplies. And we've last year we acquired NERAC-funded equipment to support the 2025 July 4th celebration, offsetting costs for that event. As far as goals for FY27 for emergency management, we want to be able to complete a full inventory of emergency management resources and procure additional equipment as identified. maintain equipment in a ready-to-deploy condition, and increase community engagement by recruiting additional volunteers. On page 71, you'll find the Fire Alarm Network Revolving Fund, which has historically been used to maintain the town's municipal fire alarm system. As noted earlier in the Municipal Monthly, which you may have seen, the department is in the process of decommissioning the municipal fire alarm system, as it requires significant ongoing maintenance and has been surpassed by newer technologies that provide more detailed and actionable information to responders. These modern central monitoring stations are now capable of transmitting alarm signals that identify the specific location and type of activation, such as smoke, heat, or sprinkler flows, improving response efficiency and reducing reliance on town-owned infrastructure. The full decommissioning is expected to occur over 2 to 3 years. Street alarm boxes will be removed first, as virtually all alarms that previously may have been transmitted by such equipment are now received through 911 system. Master boxes, which transmit building fire alarms, will be removed last to allow property owners sufficient time to upgrade their systems. The Fire Prevention Revolving Fund, moving to that, established in 2024, collects revenue from permits and inspection fees, as well as fees associated with fire prevention activities, including sprinkler compliance testing that requires personnel and apparatus. These revenues are used to support the fire prevention officer position, are intended to become self-sustaining over time, reducing reliance on support from the building department, for which we have been very grateful. The Ambulance Enterprise Fund is supported by ambulance service fees and currently funds the salaries of 11 FTEs and associated expenses required to operate the town's ambulance service. Expenses include EMS equipment and supplies, equipment repairs, vehicle maintenance, and ambulance leasing or borrowing costs. If you turn to page 72, you'll see 3 charts that provide 10-year snapshot of the department activity. Fires extinguished, responses by type, and inspections conducted. On average, the department responds to approximately 50 fires per year, ranging from structural and vehicle fires to dumpster, cooking, and chimney fires, and many others. Rapid coordinated response is critical to minimizing fire spread and limiting property damage. The responses by type chart illustrates trends over the past decade, notably an upward trend in emergency medical responses over the last 4 years. We have also noted an increase in concurrent medical requests requiring both ambulances to be in service. EMS calls now account for 69% of all emergency responses, and this upward trend is expected to continue. Non-medical 911 emergency responses are primarily associated with alarm activations. Some variation in this category that you see on the chart is likely due to historical data entry practices. For example, box plug out, plug in calls may have been recorded as non-medical 911 emergency responses when they're just typical day-to-day routine responses. The department is actively reviewing and standardizing data to improve reporting accuracy. The new nearest system is expected to further enhance data quality, as only emergency call types can be entered into this system. Page 73 presents the fire department budget. A notable increase in overtime is primarily attributable to unfilled vacancies. As mentioned earlier, maintaining minimum staffing is critical, and once vacancies are filled, overtime is expected to decrease to a more typical level. The 8% overall increase in personnel services largely reflects recent collective bargaining agreements designed to maintain a competitive package for recruitment and retention of department members. Service expenditures were reduced by 13% as a cost containment measure, and while supplies increased 17% due to rising costs for materials and services. The Ambulance Enterprise Fund budget is presented on page 168, so that's much further in your packet. Of particular note is the increase in professional development, which reflects the cost of supporting department members and attending paramedic certification, as discussed earlier. Supporting paramedic training is a strategy increasingly used by many departments, including Acton, to recruit new members and address the nationwide shortage of paramedics. ensuring continued high-quality emergency medical services for the community. Couple more pages in on page 171, you'll find the fire alarm network budget, and that supports the maintenance and decommissioning of the current municipal fire alarm system. There's no major changes reflected in this budget. And then the fire prevention budget can be found on page 178, and that reflects a decrease in supplies to be offset by revenues generated by permit fees. As far as our capital request for FY27, we have included fire hose replacement at $25,000. That's a single one-time replacement. Fire hose only lasts so long. When it's used out on the street, things happen to it from time to time, so we need to do some replacement. It also includes phase 2 of the portable radio replacement program, an additional $60,000. We received $60,000 last time, and we're looking to just complete our radio purchases so that every person on the department has a portable radio, which becomes critical for communications on scene. Command vehicle replacement at $126,500. That's an annual request, as we have 7 command type vehicles, and we just rotate them down the line and get rid of the last one on the line every year. And then an ambulance replacement of $855,000. We replace our ambulance every 3 years. It spends 3 years in primary service, 3 years in secondary service, and then 3 years as a mechanical backup. As far as an update on current vehicles that are in the queue, our Excellence ambulance is currently under construction at a facility in Huntsville, Alabama. 2 members just went down to oversee some of the construction of that, and that is due to be delivered approximately November of 2026. A ladder truck is currently under contract with a due date of approximately August of 2028, I believe. And then an engine that's currently under contract is due approximately January of 2029. The long production times make it important to make sure we plan ahead to make our capital requests. So this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.